Bring in here Kristine Berzina. She's Managing Director of the German Marshall Fund Geostrategy North. Thanks indeed for being with us, Kristine. From your perspective, what will President Zelensky looking to get from this meeting in a hard, deliverable sense?
He's looking for more information from President Trump on security guarantees and security assurances. There's a vague wording of that in the minerals deal, but that is not what has been fully promised yet. In many ways, the earlier visits of European leaders this week with President Macron and Prime Minister Starmer here just a few days ago prepares the groundwork for that security conversation. Because Trump, of course, doesn't want it to be just America supporting Ukraine and expects the Europeans to do a lot more. In some ways, that question has already been answered with the security and peacekeeper question on the table, both in the French and the British meetings. And so now Zelensky can move forward not only the minerals agenda, which is very important for Trump, but the overarching question of how does Ukraine actually survive, which is a security question. So that really is first and foremost here.
And from what we know of what President Zelensky has already said to President Trump, talking about how the Russians don't play by the rules of war and showing President Trump some images of the victims of this war, he's really trying to bring President Trump back around and away from that softening of the US position towards Russia, isn't he?
Absolutely. Narrative is tremendously important. And in some ways, there's a question, well, what does a narrative mean if Trump actually promises to invest so much in Ukraine in the future? But Ukraine is in a state of war, and the willingness to fight, the notion of having allies standing behind you is so important, not only for Zelensky personally, but for all of the Ukrainians on the front lines and in Ukraine who are asking the question, do they have a country? And does the United States understand who is responsible and who is fighting for survival and who is attacking them? And those questions, frankly, have not been clear for the past few weeks here in Washington. So Zelensky will be very much seeking to get the narrative right, to make sure that President Trump understands how the war started, who is the aggressor, and who is fighting for their lives. And if that came out at the end of this day, it would already be incredibly meaningful for Ukrainians.
Now, both men are in the Oval Office, as we've said, at the